Good morning, Midnight's Edge fans. We're here to tell you that we have so much more to offer you now at our Mixed Tees store. Not just t-shirts and hoodies, but we do have plenty of those, and new designs for that matter. You can also get mugs, and of course our brand new limited Amber Turds stained blanket. That's right, just for your bed or wherever you need it. So head on over to Mixed Tees now and get all your apparel and goodies from Midnight's Edge.
Get up, wake up, this is your final warning. It's time for midnightsedge in the morning. The gang is ready to go and it's time for the show. It's time for midnightsedge in the morning.
It's hump day. It's the middle of the week. We got two beautiful bald men, well, at least one beautiful bald man and a fat man. And we also have Andre the Nordic. How are we all doing? I seen you guys were visiting the White House the other day, and I thought Elvins had raided the United States from Rivendell. But it turns out it was you guys instead, it sounds like.
Yeah,
What the
were
fuck
they
is up with
rowing?
that? No, they're in like some red outfits and fucking white faces, and they look like fucking elves out of fucking Rivendell.
Long hair.
Yeah, long
yeah.
ass hair. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
that would be because of the Football World Championship. That's soccer to you guys, which is going on right now.
Fucking weirdos.
Yeah, I even retweeted that. Like they
looked like a
go
Lord of the
rolling
Rings
up
convention.
the escalators and stuff. So
It looked,
yeah,
yeah, it looked like a Lord of the Rings convention. It was like, what the fuck? And Trump's sitting there going, all right, you guys, we're going to get Soren. Don't worry about it. We're going to back you up. We got all the bombs you need.
I'm enjoying
absolutely.
seeing all the video clips of these football players from Europe and even South Africa traveling through the United States, and they are just loving everything from the food to the freedom to the scenery to the people. It kind of instills a little bit of gratitude being native here in American citizens. I think we take a lot of that stuff for granted. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah. Well, it kind of reminds me of how, like, how we say, like, a lot of times people bitch about how quote unquote bad America supposedly is. It's like, go to some of these other countries
Hell yeah.
where you'll get
Absolutely.
arrested just for saying something stupid online, or
Yeah, England.
yeah,
Freaking England has fallen. I mean,
Yes.
it's insane.
It's a
that's the
shame.
world we live in nowadays. But hey, let's not waste much time here this morning. We got some super chats to go through here. We got Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle who says, hi, all. Well, hello, Flying Blind. How are you doing? And Flying Blind also gifted 5 Midnight's Edge memberships. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Thank you.
We got Drew Tipton in the house who says, is President Archer Star Trek show happening? Maybe. We don't know yet. We've heard very little out of Star Trek. Andre, has there been any rumblings at all?
I actually got some messages that I haven't had the time to read just yet, but I would say this is just my guesstimate. More than 50% shot.
There you go.
I don't think there's going to be any new Star Trek TV shows for a while.
You could be right. They could just be doing a couple movies for now, and then we'll see how it rolls. But then again, that would go against logic, because at this point,
You want something for streaming this day and age?
Well,
Yeah.
they've closed down the Paramount Television Studios division for one.
Yeah.
They've done all this cost cutting, and
That only means they wouldn't be the ones doing it.
that's
Yeah,
true.
they just
But, I think
shop
after
it
that
out.
freaking Starfleet Academy, man.
All that does is teach them not to rehire Alex Kurtzman, basically.
Let's hope
mean,
so.
Well, they did have somebody in there. Emma Watts, I believe her name was. She was an executive, and
Okay.
she was the only one who was smart enough to speak out against Star Trek. And what I mean is this was right around what, the 7th or 8th announcement of Star Trek 4 had just basically languished.
Mm-hmm.
And she said the problem is these movies have a ceiling on them. They always have. And we can't be spending over $200 million, or can't be spending $200 million on these Star Trek movies because they've never made that much money.
Right.
And she's right. If you go back and look at the law of averages of the cost per film, how much they made in theaters. When they were amortizing the show across several films, or the movies, sorry, across several films and the TV show TNG, it made more sense, as opposed to now where they're spending Star Wars level money on a TV show movie that is bringing in the same amount of audience that it did back with Star Trek. The
Or
motion
worse.
picture or the Wrath of Khan, or in some cases, you're right, worse with Star Trek Into Darkness. They did kind of, even though it made more money at the box office, it cost an extra, what was it, $40 million more than the last one, Andre? Something like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
To where it was just, there was no way they were going to make their money back,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah. That's like the thing, because the movies, they always perform the same. Like one that actually did perform better was the 2009 movie. That did increase the audience. But after that, it was back to the same level of the TNG movies of the 90s. That kind of like is the ceiling. You budget the movies for that and you're good. But that means you can't do like any $150, $200 million budgets as they were doing, thinking that this is going to turn it into $1 billion franchise. No, Star Trek is still Star Trek, and there's a limit to how much you can possibly grow it, like you can any other franchise.
The thing that the J.J. Abrams movie had going for it, I guess, was that there'd just been a gap, a pretty big gap between the Nemesis. I think Star Trek Nemesis came out in 2002.
Yes.
So 7 years, right? And there was only
that's the excuse I think they tried to use more so. But I think it was just the fact of, look, Star Trek 2 would have performed. Cool. The problem was all J.J. Abrams playing his mystery box bullshit with Khan. And as soon as the word got out that it was Khan and everybody knew it, and he had destroyed the character, that movie fell off a cliff. Because overall, the film is not horrible. It's that aspect of the movie that really brings it down. And then the last, 30, 40 minutes are a ripoff of Wrath of Khan, basically reversed.
In general, I would say that it was simply the wrong movie, right? Because the end of the 2009 movie, what did that promise? 5-year mission. And then you had to wait 4 years for a movie that was a dark and depressing side quest before it ended with the exact same promise as the first movie. Now comes the 5-year mission after this ridiculous, boring, dreary side quest, which was a 9/11 truther story that there was zero demand for by the public. Never mind Khan, it was a 9/11 truther story. That's fundamentally what it was. And it was the wrong story for the wrong time. Simple as that.
What's fascinating about that Into Darkness, though, is it's the one that made the most money over internationally, globally.
Yeah, that you can thank the 2009 movie, because that was a response to the popularity of
the problem,
which only goes to show they needed to have a new movie out 2 years after the J.J. Abrams movie, and it needed to be fun. If they had managed that, they actually would have been successful.
Yeah. Like that's the problem. I think it was less the timing more so than just the movie itself.
Yeah.
And the way it treated the audience, because I think the proof is in that third film. Yeah. Because there's how many people will say that third film is probably the best of the 3 films, or at least the most Star Trek-y anyway. Mm-hmm. But yet it bombed at the box office because of the reception of part 2.
Yeah. And you can
turn the audience off.
But of course, that has always been the way. That the previous movie determines the reception of the next movie, and people like to hate on Star Trek Nemesis, and that movie obviously has problems. I'm not defending that, but it followed Insurrection, which had even greater problems. So people already had a filthy taste in the mouth following Insurrection. Were no longer too excited by the TNG crew. While Star Trek at the same time wasn't doing too hot on TV, with more and more popular series suddenly being cancelled, the brand was being kept alive by Voyager and Enterprise in its early things. By the time that thing came out, so it was a franchise that now had lost all of its popular icons and stars, were no longer there, and the previous movie had a bad reception. And then the next one, well, it looked fantastic. I'll grant it that. It looked better than any TNG Star Trek movie had looked before. But just like Insurrection before it, it was the wrong story.
Yeah. And yeah. Well, it is what it is now. As far as the Archer show happening, I don't know. I think we're in the change of a regime right now, so the chances of us knowing what's going to happen is going to be at least a year or two out.
Yeah.
In my
But I'm going to say, I think that one is like, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I say it's a more than 50% chance. That only means it could be a 55% chance, which means it's a 45% chance that it doesn't happen. It's ultimately going to depend on the new regime. But what it has going for it is that the people who are working behind the scenes on it are the same people who had some experience, who worked with Star Trek back when Star Trek was good. And what I have heard is that they are looking for someone to take over Star Trek who knows what Star Trek can be and who ideally was there when it was good in the 90s. Which means that on paper, the Archer show is one that has excellent potential. It has all of that legacy property and going for it. And also, it doesn't involve Kurtzman in any way, shape, or form, because it's an external pitch that is not reliant on anything that he did. So it allows them perfectly well to start to do this as just a miniseries. It doesn't even have to set the tone for everything that is to come. It's not in the way of whatever new movie thing they're happening. Maybe that's the adventerprises of the Enterprise F or G or H or whatever, for all we know, right? Mecha J wonders, so no more Kurtzman. From everything we have heard, no more Kurtzman. Now, there may be some kind of production deal offered to him, like the same deal that J.J. Abrams got, which is really a first look deal that J.J. had with Warner. Remember how many movies came out of that? Nothing.
I think a TV show.
It was one TV show or something like
maybe
that.
two.
It was like, but it was like a deal that on paper was worth $400 million. And how did that turn out? Well,
whatever they made off the Amazon Batman show is whatever they made off that deal.
Yeah, but for the most part, it turned out so well that you had to relocate from LA to New York.
Well, yeah, my point is basically that's the only money they probably produced, and it was probably a loss.
Yes.
Because they did the show. Warner Brothers said, no, we don't want that piece of shit. And then JJ's like, can I shop it around? They're like, sure, whatever the fuck you want, bucko. And Amazon picked it up. That Batman animated show.
Is it out? Did anyone even see it?
They did the Christmas special, but I don't know. I think that was the backdoor pilot. I don't know if it's actually going to get a pickup or not. I think it was just that, and that was it. I don't know.
That's it. Back on that Captain Archer show or whatever, I think it's called United, Star Trek United. So
United, yeah.
I mean, they pitched it, and I remember the reason it got turned down, or the excuse, was that Starfleet Academy was already kind of that thing, because the idea was Archer was going to now be president, so you're going to do more of a West Wing drama type thing rather than being out in space. And now they don't really have the streaming budget because they're cutting. So I just don't think they're going to do it. I would like to see it because, I mean, it is from Sussman, I think, who is the guy that ran Enterprise and one of the other shows too, I think, Voyager.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Voyager that was on there at that time.
Wouldn't it have been great if they had gone with that instead of Starfleet Academy?
Actually, you know what? After the fact, it's actually better that they didn't.
Yeah,
because
it probably would have prolonged Kurtzman's life. Yeah.
Correct.
It would have been woke.
It would have prolonged Kurtzman. It would have just extended him. Whereas right now, he stupidly declined that. And what was even worse, he had a finished pitch, cast, and everything ready to go in Star Trek Legacy, the follow-up to Picard season 3 that everyone wanted. And he's like, no, we're going to go with the thing that I want to do, Starfleet Academy, which is one of the biggest embarrassing flops of all time. And it really was, I mean, not even the capstone, but the gravestone to his Star Trek, right? That's what it is. So in that sense, in order to get rid of him, it's actually a good thing that he chose that, because that means, okay, fine, we are never getting legacy. But getting legacy would have meant can carry on with Kurtzman for the indefinite future. This thing right here, it's better that it happens, but it happens with nowhere near Kurtzman, because if it had happened, it would have been Kurtzmanized.
Yeah.
So it would have sucked. It wouldn't have been allowed to be any good anyway.
Yeah, and he would have had Stacey Abrams show up because she was president of the world, right?
No, of course.
Well,
yeah.
And I was corrected on the JJ thing. He did actually get that show. That was that Cape Crusaders show or whatever. That was like queer coded shit all over it, but it was semi decent, and some people bought into it. But
okay,
yeah, good for them. So it's out then.
Yeah, it's been out.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving along though. That I hope you got your money's worth there. Pack and Proton says when Pro has a Scott toy guru Netlich, not sure how to tell him that he's been a rather contested figure in He-Man history, Faker, Comic-Con, and other issues. Oh, did he have? Oh, he did, huh? Okay.
Toy Guru Scott.
I didn't know
About
this.
Netflix, yeah. We've had we had some
interactions with him.
some interactions with him in the past. It's not for us to say who Pro is to have on and not have on. All I will say is that Scott Netlich, he did work on the classics line, which is arguably the best line in Motu history. Now, yeah, he did that self-insert, but really, as a brand manager, because that's effectively what he was, he did pretty decent for the time. He did, just have to remember, what was his job? His job wasn't to create entertainment. It was to keep the toy line alive. And he did that. And he did that really, really well. That's a guy that has some very, very interesting perspectives. There are some controversies around him and everything. You just have to take what you have. But hey, he has some insights, not how Mattel is now, but how it was at the time. But I'm sure it's going to be very interesting to Pro and to anyone else listening.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
All right, we got Drew Tipton next, who says, anyone watch the UFC fight? White House hasn't seen that much blood since the War of 1812. No, I did not.
Oh, it's worth it. You should watch the highlights at least. You'll get sucked right in. Did you guys hear? Have you heard like Nate Bargatze? I think that's his name, the comedian who was seen at the event and now he's getting blacklisted because he was at the UFC White House thing.
No, I did not.
Oh God. Well, for anybody out there, because we've seen people saying, "Oh, this is denigrated and desecrated the sacred lawn of the White House," or whatever. Ask them first of all, were you complaining in August 2024 when Biden had topless transgender people dancing on the White House lawn?
Carry on.
Well, and the other thing that I think is important to remember is history. Probably the most badass president we've ever had after George Washington is Teddy Roosevelt. And Teddy Roosevelt was a pugilist. Teddy Roosevelt, when president of the United States.
Can you say that online?
Held pugilist, yeah. I can't spell it though. Would have boxing matches at the White House. And not only would he have those boxing matches, he was in the ring fighting. I mean, that's more bad. That's better than Donald Trump. Trump was just out there cheering, front row, whatever, sitting behind Joe Rogan. Teddy Roosevelt was out there in the boxing ring. So anybody that's complaining about this just doesn't understand that MMA is a very big part of American culture now. And it was a great show. You should really watch some clips from it. I think you'll be pleased with it. But yeah, bloody, yes. Great fights, yes. Great entertainment. Your mileage may vary, but I would say yes. That's my thoughts, Drew.
Yeah,
there you go.
Absolutely. And the only thing I wanted to add to that, when it came to the sanctity of the White House, that the Orange Man Bad was accused of breaching. Yeah, obviously you had like Biden having topless male titties and topless trans titties on the lawn. and the pride flag above the American flag. But before then, you also had Obama getting high. Well, he didn't, but he had rappers getting high with him in the Oval Office. So some
not to mention
selective criticism
cigar.
there.
Not to mention human presidents treating interns as humidors. I mean, I'll leave it at that. So
Yeah, but that I'm sure has happened before in history.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
it wasn't a pay-per-view though. So
Yeah. No, I'll just say that in Europe that wasn't treated as seriously. So yeah, but something we do take very seriously is that we have Paulie joining us, and we're very happy about it. Greetings.
Hey, what's happening, everybody?
Bright and early in the West Coast. How you doing?
Happy Wednesday. Well, I'm late. Sorry, I'm late.
A little bit. Well, this is something that you could do, Paulie, because I can't. Dark King is curious. Have I seen the TMNT Pizzeria in LA? Yes, I have seen it, but I've never been there, and I don't think I'll be able to afford to ever go there. But Paulie, that's something that you potentially could do. Have you heard anything about it? Have you seen it?
Yeah, okay, so it is on the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica,
That means
which
fuck all to me, but yeah.
right. So if you ever remember the movie Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, the
Of
first
course.
one, where they go to the bicycle shop?
Yep.
That is the old
So down there. Okay.
Santa Monica Promenade. And then they completely redid it. It had a new life in the 90s and the aughts, and then it got run down again. But now it looks like they're bringing back some businesses in there. But it's an open air, like a 3 blocks you can walk. You know, the street there, they've closed it off just for pedestrians. So it's definitely a huge tourist spot. So that's whoever thought of this. That's a good idea. So as far as location, it is definitely a great location. And then I'm looking at the website coming soon. # say cheesy pizza, Kawabunga. I don't see any menu prices yet.
Well, I can imagine they got to pay out for if either Nickelodeon is in charge of it or they got to pay out for the license. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know beyond the location. That's all I know. I mean, there's
as far as I know, it's official. So I mean, like that aspect of it. Yeah.
The grand opening will have giveaways. It's this. Oh, okay. It's the grand opening is this Saturday.
There you
go.
This can go and get some pizza.
There you go, guys.
Let us know if it's worth a shit.
Yeah. Or a slice.
That's what I mean. Yeah. You can just pick up a slice.
But that location is like, chef's kiss as far as tourists and anyone coming to LA, because it's connected to the Santa Monica Pier. So there's also now a beautiful what do you call it? Metro stop from downtown, goes all the way to the Santa Monica Pier. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Why that pizza's so expensive? Got to pay that rent.
Yeah, between the rent and licenses. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, never know. Maybe
saying?
One day I'll pick it up. Is that how much they are? I'm honestly, how bad is that for LA though? So you'll spend $20 on a pizza here in Wisconsin.
Right. That is on the higher end of tourist spots. Like they'll do the Dodger Stadium, like their pizzas, and like they're all tricked out. It's like $40 to $50. So that's around. That
doesn't really surprise me actually, because that's kind of like you go to almost any restaurant nowadays and you'll spend that easy on one person.
Yeah. I mean, you can get an excellent whole pie at Delicious Pizza for a little over $30, and that's right down the street, and that's a very sought after pizza spot.
There you go. So I mean, yeah, I was gonna say even Pizza Hut, you'll spend $20-25 easy.
Yeah, and problem. I don't. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, again, I'm not saying this is great price, but I mean, I'm not surprised, and that it could be a hell of a lot worse. Like, have you seen some of the shit prices they got at Disney for like funnel cakes and crap? Like Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean, look, you're talking to a guy that brings in his own drinks to the theater,
right?
So I got to save money here and there wherever I can, because I'm going to the theater like once or twice a week.
Tell me about it.
Here in LA. So I got the AMC A-list and the Cinemark monthly. I love my popcorn, so I will try to get points so I can at least get the popcorn lowered. But the large is $11.
If I was closer to one of those type of theaters, I would get one of those deals and
Yeah,
just use
yeah,
those.
it's totally worth it.
But Miller then comes in with another 14 South African rand and says, "Don't think Americans seen so much joy as the Scots." I'm not sure what he's referring to on this one.
Probably the video clips that I was mentioning about the football players.
I was going to say it probably had to do with the football game or the UFC fight, one of the two.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't to do with anything that's happening in Scotland right now, because there's nothing to be excited for there. So yeah.
Right. So they came. The Scottish fans were out in full force in Boston.
Oh yeah.
And partying and dancing.
So
and
you had a bunch
singing
of drunk people
American
dancing
songs.
around with drunk people. That's typical. There you go.
Both. And just like I was listening to you guys earlier, Chris and all, a lot of these tourists from all over the world are just fascinated with us. And that's great, man. That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think
that's needed.
It
And
is.
you know why? Because
Yeah, I know
so many are subject to non-stop anti-America, anti-Trump propaganda, and that is certainly the case in Europe. Europeans right now are completely brainwashed, because the entire mainstream media narrative all over Europe is basically CNN and the New York Times and The View at the worst. That's what it is. Like, it's less so reporting the news as telling you this is really, really bad. Trump bad. That's basically what the news are right now. It's really frustrating for those in Europe that do seek alternate news and see a little bit more of what's going on and recognize the propaganda. But
well, that actually kind of brings us to our story of the day, but I'm sure Paulie has a little bit more to add to
glad that Paulie is here for it as well, because you might have something
because
to,
LA is going to need all that tourist money when Hollywood exodus is to other places. So it doesn't seem like Trump's ploy to get people to make more movies in Hollywood with Stallone and Voight and all those guys didn't quite pan out the way he was hoping.
Yeah, I was wondering, where are the ambassadors? Because this is a piece in Variety, and for those who are wondering, what the hell is this thumbnail picture that we have about this statue of RoboCop? I know Chris Brawley, he wondered about that. Well, that's actually a meta link to this very article, because here you basically have a write-up of various politicians who are running for either election or re-election, like Bass, like that dude from the Hills who's also running, and how are they going to tackle the problem of film production and TV series production leaving LA and Hollywood in general. And you also then had some worrying that LA is going to be the next Detroit, because they priced themselves out of the market. All the business and capital they leave for elsewhere, where they get more incentives and a bigger return on their investment. Why would you film in LA when you can get so much better deal in so many other states, let alone other
like
countries?
North Carolina and other states? Yeah, like
indeed.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense to price your own business, the business you're known for, out of your own state. And that's what they've done for the last couple decades. I mean, we've seen this when they made the exodus to Australia. We've seen them, start making more films, like we said, outside of, and just in the United States, but in just other countries. But like, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't part of Detroit and Michigan's whole financial issues brought on by politicians and their stupidity? And basically, I don't think they've really gotten themselves completely out of that yet. I mean, I don't know how many people know much about Michigan. It's close to me, but I don't know much about the politics. But I do know that they've had issues with water. They've had issues with all sorts of other things over there, not to mention unemployment, which has been a problem for decades. Paulie, you were about to say something.
Well, my thing is what are the points being brought up in this article, first of all?
Yeah. Sorry, I was going off track there. My bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay, because like we see these almost like every couple of months. So that's my first question. Then I want to look at the numbers. So production is actually up this last quarter. and there was a 5-year decline. And it's interesting what is, and I'm not going off this article, guys. I'm going off of Film LA, and their numbers basing off of permits to where you can shoot in LA County, right? Over 50% increase with independent feature films, which makes absolutely sense. And there's a huge decrease with scripted television, which makes absolute sense. That's why your favorite shows are not filmed in the States anymore. So, why is that? Okay, there's a couple of reasons. So, independent films by nature they're going to be a lot more fluid in when they can start and stop as far as pre-production. So they can get those film permits, they can get those SAG ultra low budget contracts a lot easier than a studio television series. There's only a few of them, like major ones, that rock every year here in LA. So that's why Obsession, not Backrooms, Obsession was filmed here in LA. The more you can claim that you filmed here, the more tax incentives you do get, the more bang for your buck. So that's one thing. But the numbers in regards to last quarter, the first quarter of 2026 has increased by over 50% for film productions, but at the same time decreased for television. But that being said, overall, the last 5 years, it's been really bad. There's just no denying it. But really bad is 10,000 days of shooting going down to a few thousand days of shooting per year. So yeah, that's what I got right now.
One of the things, and you'll read it in this article, Paulie, is it said something like 76,000 or 73,000 jobs have left since the streaming contraction, I think, or whatever they're calling the streaming wars, which were from the 2023 Hollywood strikes, which is huge.
I mean,
and those are production jobs that have been lost.
I would go back to 2013 to 2011 when House of Cards debuted as a binge model.
Yeah.
That's when everything started changing. That's when TV series started contracting from 23 episodes to 16 to 13, if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
And now they're maybe 6 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's all has effects. So it's, to me, this headline's a little sensationalist because it's like, well, it's been contracting. They have gone out of state, out of country, and they're doing much less. Like, all right, we'll greenlight you House of Dragon, another 8 episodes, as opposed to, a 20 episode season is gone.
Yeah,
that's huge, man. And then they're literally leaving the state because of the tax incentives, the lack of. And the same thing can be said that they did with Texas. They had great tax incentives, I would say, a dozen years ago or so, and then it got really bad. But the new tax incentives under the current administration have taken effect. That's why you're seeing a little bit of ray of light there.
Yeah, they doubled those tax credits too, I think.
Right. So and as far as local and state officials, listen, they're gonna twist it to make it look like it was never their fault, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm during the campaign season, this last campaign season, and I'll talk politics because it does have to do with this. The current mayor all of a sudden lowered permit prices, got rid of some red tape. Hey, isn't this incredible? We're back, we're filming. There was literally a TV show that was going to leave, and she cut the red tape so they could stay.
Because it's an election year, right?
Why couldn't you have done that day one? Day one. Oh, that's right. Day one, you were spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on your inauguration party. I won't say any more politics than that.
No. But to your point,
Yeah.
Newsom was the one that was kind of bragging, the current governor right now was kind of bragging about
Yeah.
bringing Baywatch. So that's the reason we've got this featured image at the top of the Variety article.
Yeah.
Because back in the 90s, right, it was an LA staple. And they
Yeah.
wound up, because Newsom was like, well, we're getting it back where the reboot back where it belongs or whatever, but they had to pay a $21 million subsidy because the production was looking at beaches in Georgia, Hawaii, South Africa, and Australia, where the incentives were just better. Canada. Well,
So, and I'm speaking from some hands-on experience as well with Romy working. The Fire Country, which is a huge show on CBS. Right? Have you guys heard of the Fire Country?
No.
Oh yeah, look it up.
I'm not watching it.
Right. I don't watch it either. But the point is that they film in Canada, and she had auditioned and gotten a really big role, and she was pinned. And then they went back and said, we're not gonna fly you in. We're gonna cast. We've changed our mind. And we're gonna cast it locally in Toronto. And that happens every day. Because every day they're looking to save money. It is unfair, but that's how this business, has contracted so much. So,
then you got little things like above the line talent, what can be sort of covered with California's tax credit, right? Because I think there's a lot of things like the above the line talent you can't get a tax credit on, like their salaries and stuff. But overseas, they don't do that. They just will subsidize a large chunk of the production. So that it gets a little Byzantine, and I don't want everybody's ears and eyes to glaze over, but it's very complex the way it's set up over there, which is a shame because LA has this rich legacy for being the hub of Hollywood. And now everyone is just, all these other wonderful locations are just competing, and they're willing to give all these additional incentives and tax credits for them to come there because
100%. And I'll give one more example, and Tom and Andre, if you want to move on to a different part of this. New Jersey has a great incentive now, and part of what they have is a radius incentive, which really covers New York City. So you do your production offices, you're filming the majority out of New York. Out of New Jersey, you're getting an incentive level. You mention or do a landmark of New Jersey, you get another incentive level. It keeps going up, which is why they were able to do the latest Marissa Tomei, Rachel Ziegler indie film all there, and they got to film in New York. That is how a creative independent film can maneuver and get something done. TV shows, it's a little more, it's a lot more, multi-tiered.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, and there's so much competition out there too for LA. So there's 81 countries are, competing against them now. Even the UK spent something like $2 or $2.5 billion in incentives last year for films. So
One Piece is all in South Africa. South Africa has been, I would say, since the 90s, setting up shop, Andre, to entice productions to come.
They have, and they've done really well at it, I may add as well.
Yep.
Mostly in the budget spectrum. Like, for instance, in the 90s, that was the go-to like, for instance, New Image, which would evolve into Millennium, which were the heirs to Canon. Like, half their stuff is filmed in South Africa. And even Dread, when that needed to cut on budget, still looked fantastic, but it's filmed in South Africa. That's what the Mega City 1 is in that movie. It's the slums of Johannesburg.
Well, and in all of these locations, there and London and Atlanta, Toronto, Sydney, you name it, they don't even have to fly their production crews in because there are capable crews in these locations now because this has been going on so long. I mean, I guess this has been happening for 20, 30 years now, right? Where they're sort of going out of LA to do these productions. And now there have been very capable production teams and freelancers in these cities, in these locations.
Yeah, I mean, even with the first Star Wars, I mean, since the 70s, I mean, they weren't filming in California.
Yeah, but they were taking their own crews, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? They were taking their production crews.
The
with
main
them.
people,
Now you don't have to do that.
not the local hire.
Well, sure. I just think that,
to pull cable.
but over the last few years, I think that has greatly increased. I mean, I see that talent here all the time,
Well,
particularly in Atlanta.
A
Particularly,
lot of times throughout the 70s and 80s, that's how a lot of these filmmakers got a lot of their movies made. And specifically, I'm thinking of Apocalypse Now. Part of the reason that Francis Ford Coppola was able to shoot so much as he was all over the place was that he taught a bunch of their locals filmmaking. And that's basically was the trade-off. And you're not wrong. So like in North Carolina and certain other places where there is a lot of shooting, they already have a lot of people working there or relocated there already. So
Right.
yeah,
Well,
so
and
that's
the
part of
difference
it.
is that the infrastructure has caught up over there.
yeah. And
We're talking global now, just as Chris was saying. So we're talking from Colombia to India to the Far East to the Europe, right? When what was that? Power Ballad, all filmed entirely in Ireland. Wednesday, season 2 and 3, filmed in Ireland. Season 1, was it Bulgaria or Romania? I mean, that's what California Hollywood is competing. It's funny because they're competing against themselves, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all going back. It's all the studios. But as far as industries supporting industries, yeah, we've been really hurt because think of all the other industries that have been supportive and supporting the literally physical studios here, for what, 100 years now. A lot of those have shrunk or have gone.
Well, and there's it's not just crews too and locations. I mean, they're building sound stages, right? You've got
that's what I meant by infrastructure.
Production houses. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I meant.
All over.
No. Listen, Sound of Freedom, one of our, everyone's favorite film the last few years, it was filmed on the sound stages in Fox Columbia. Then it sat on a shelf for years.
Yeah, so this is it's interesting, but you may be right in your assessment there, Paulie, that this is a little bit, hair on fire, or they might be, kind of spicing it up a little bit. This has been going on for a while.
I mean, it's been going on for a while, and certain factors have hurt it. So once Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright went to Netflix, then it was okay for movie stars to start doing television. So you had that top line of TV stars that are just TV stars. They went down to being guest stars or series regulars, and then so on and so on. That trickle down effect squeezes out a lot of the working actors who are character actors, et cetera, out of those shows, where it was hard, where it is now harder and harder for them to get roles. Then, like you said, you had COVID, you had the strikes, brutal, and everything physically changed, right? Because they said there's so many things we don't need anymore. We don't need to bring people in for meetings. We don't need to bring people in for auditions. We can do Zoom meetings. We can do, whatever. It all saves money.
Right.
Fascinating.
Have you heard of that program 4.0 that they tried?
I don't know. All I know is the World Cup game just started because Romy is singing the Portuguese national anthem right now.
Well, that was the one where they hiked up the funding tax credit, I think, to like $750. It just went into effect last July.
Oh, okay. Where is this, California or Trump?
Yeah, California. Yeah, and it came with sort of now they've turned it into not just necessarily a tax credit, but it's refundable cold hard cash. So I mean, they are trying some stuff and boosting,
right? Which is why you're seeing the first wave of the effects, Andre, are the independent films.
Yeah,
that's who's like that just happened last summer.
Yeah,
those are the ones. Those television, it takes a general to move a television production, much less from a different country, maybe back here to the States.
Yeah, and they also opened it up. They used to not include animation production or like unscripted reality competition shows. They open it up to that too. So they're trying to ensure that even the sound effects, sound editing houses, visual effects houses, everybody's part of this. I mean, they're trying, I guess. I'm sure that somebody with a lot more knowledge than me could explain to me why it's not enough.
Well, it's a sign of health and things gradually progressing, but obviously it's going to take time. But yeah, I agree with Paulie. Those are some positive steps towards recovery with on the indie scene.
Yeah. Oh, and in feature films, right? Because let's look at the bigger budget feature films this year, right? That's where The Mandalorian was shot totally in Manhattan Beach here, and that's how it was able to qualify for its tax breaks.
Right.
So, I want to see more of that. You want to see Obsession? No, excuse me. Backrooms. $10 million. They filmed it in Canada for the main part of that film. A lot more production design involved. But listen, it's a cheaper budget. We want to see more of that.
We do, absolutely. That is how things are going to recover, because they need to start making some money again in order to fund more productions, hire more people. Can't do that with too high budgets, certainly not in the recovery phase. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's put a pin in this story and return to what you guys are saying in the chat here. Let's see. We had Pilgrim Media, I believe, is next, saying, "Morning, gents. I look forward to your show." Well, yeah, we are glad to have you here and well on the way. And then Moon Knight says, for $2 Australian, "Good morning. Will Tom Connors be watching or be seeing Supergirl?"
Sadly, I already have my fucking tickets, and I'm thinking about trading them in for Spider-Man at this point.
I got my ticket, bro.
Well, like, nobody's going to see Supergirl, and the Spider-Man show's already selling out for Wednesday night. And I don't have any fucking money, and I'm sitting here going, well, shit, I might as well just fucking cancel Supergirl and go to Spider-Man, because nobody gives a shit about Supergirl.
All right. The Latino slant is going to fucking sponsor Tom, and you're going to go see Spider-Man. All right?
Well, at this point, I can just go probably see it at my $5 theater on Thursday. The Wednesday show's the one that's sold out. The
see those $5 super chats.
I'm trying to work with him, Chris.
I know, and I might take you up on that, but the whole point is I'm just kind of pissy because they went on sale this morning and they're already sold out except for fucking disabled seats.
Was it the other day someone said, "No, it's not about Spider-Man"? I'm like, they don't have to once it goes on sale.
Yeah, I knew it was going to happen, but it's like, whatever. And I went and we've already got Supergirl.
So I got. Is there like a secondary black market for movie tickets for like the premieres and stuff like that? Is that what you're saying?
Oh my god!
No.
Okay, good. I started wondering.
Hold on.
These movies just didn't go on. These tickets just didn't go on sale until today. That's why.
You can go on eBay right now and spend
that possibility
for IMAX tickets.
I wouldn't be surprised. I was going to say, but I don't know if too many people are paying $500 to go see the fucking Odyssey.
I hope not.
I can understand that maybe in a specific market where, whatever, but even then I'm like, that's quite a bit of money. Like, it's not like you're going to see a concert or some shit. But yeah, sadly, I will be going to see fucking Supergirl. And nothing about this movie really looks like good. Even Lobo.
Lobo is the highlight, obviously.
Like the highlight of it, basically. And I mean, I like Lobo, but I've never been one of those people who like, I need a Lobo movie. Like, the only thing about Lobo is like somebody finally brought up early on, like, oh, instead of playing Aquaman, he should be playing Lobo. I may have even brought that point up, and I'm just like, yeah, that's
everyone
logically, like that would make more sense. Why you cast this guy as Aquaman makes absolutely no sense to me, but whatever. Oh, gosh.
Did okay at the box office.
Yeah, that aspect. Supergirl is not looking too hot though right now. In fact, certain papers like Cosmic Book News, so take that with a grain of salt since they have a Snyder bend, are claiming that the movie might not even open up at #1. So that is a possibility though. That I do admit, because frankly, there just isn't that much interest in this. And I still got to scratch my head wondering why the fuck James Gunn would go to this secondly for your universe.
We have our live Fridays after you guys now. It's this new movies, so that's why I'm going. And then, but if you go, then you can come on. I'm gonna have my nerdy home on, so it'd be cool, Tom, for you to join us.
Isn't it like, what's it up against? Toy Story 5?
It's up against itself.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's up against itself, and it's simply being the wrong movie. As for why they're making this movie at all, that, of course, is a great point that Tom is making there, because really, if there ever was a wrong movie to put out in the wrong marketplace, it's this one. Because the audience have had it with girl bosses, but that is what they're putting out here. They should never have greenlit this in the first place, let alone as the second big feature film of the DC universe. And the data to show that this is a stupid decision was there at the time if they had looked for it. But I don't know if it was James Gunn's decision alone or he had people whispering in his ear, but he brought some really bad people along for the ride with him, which I think is really screwing him right now. Most specifically, Tom King, that he brought on as one of the co-architects of the DC universe. And that dude, of course, is going to be pushing for his own shitty run of the Supergirl comics that everyone hates. And someone there also going, yay, DEI, girl boss, woman power, whatever. And James Gunn obviously listened to it. Between him and Peter Safran, they listened to the advice they were given. Maybe it even came from them. I do not know. But wherever it originated, it was terrible, terrible freaking advice. And it's a disaster for the DC universe, because this movie is basically already dead on arrival. I mean, it has to be like the best movie ever just to overcome being female-led. Because right now, a woman on the poster, I'm sorry, but it's the truth, it's an audience repellent. Especially if she's front and center and it's about her. I mean, Supergirl, in an age where the audience is fed up with girl bosses, that's when you put out Supergirl. And not only that, this Supergirl, as they try to put as a selling point that, oh, she's a punk rocker, meaning she's a total bitch. That's a selling point. How many bitches have the audience rejected by now?
The trailer looks more like Captain Marvel than it does Supergirl.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that's my issue. Honestly, I could give a shit less because I don't like redundant characters anyway. I've brought this up many a time. Supergirl's one I kind of give some exception to a little bit.
Yeah.
That's because she's kind of interesting and not exactly just, Superman with tits. Yeah. But at this point, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're trying to make her Batman with tits, I think. Like, I don't know.
It's like Guardians of the Galaxy meets the Road Warrior. I mean,
and I get that. And everybody is making that, obvious comparison. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing that's funny is, like, this looks and feels more like a James Gunn movie, and James Gunn's not even directing the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
He didn't even write the goddamn thing.
I'm sure he had some notes.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure he had some input. Don't get me wrong on that part, but I'm just saying, it's like, to me, this is what's... Okay, my point with that is, and this is where, anybody who's trying to accuse me of being a Gunn fanboy or whatever can suck my dick, because at this point, I'm looking at this thing going, what the fuck are you thinking? You're bringing in another director, and the whole point of this is you're trying to bring in other visions and other, like, ideas and different places you can go with DC, and that was the whole idea, is you were sick of being penned in Marvel. Why are you got a director making basically a movie that you would make? And in fact, it's probably worse off because you probably should have made it. And it probably would have been better, because I remind people, everybody bitches about the Marvel humor and they blames James Gunn. It's like, it's not James Gunn's fault. Rewatch the Guardians films. Those movies are fine. It's all the other movies around them that tried to be Guardians of the Galaxy that was the problem. It's the Taika Waititi humor. And that's what we're running into here. Somebody else trying to be James Gunn. So what are we getting? It looks like a hodgepodge of everything we've rejected in the last 10 years, like Andre just said. It's like, what are you doing, you dipshit? Like, and I have zero, like, care about this, but that's my point. Is like, I don't care about Supergirl. I really don't. So I don't care if it's a success or a failure. Like,
yeah.
To me, it's a non-entity. And to me, I'm wondering why you're introducing her as your secondary character already in this universe when it should be Wonder Woman or Batman. This makes no sense to me. And this movie just looks unappealing. Like, just in all aspects of it.
It really doesn't look good. No, and I've said it before when I've been in the theater and my wife's with me. She's, she thought she couldn't tell the difference between it and The Mandalorian. It's just a bunch of CGI stuff, and I don't even know why this movie exists. And
I mean, he could have went at this in a way of like, look, we've had so many girl bossy movies, but the problem was already set up in Superman that she was this drunkard, bitchy, bratty kid, right?
Exactly what the audience doesn't want.
Exactly. So instead of it being like, look, this is where I will invoke a Helen Slater. Fuck the movie aspect. Helen got the character right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all that fucking mattered. The thing that made Supergirl different than Superman initially was that she wasn't all about, wanting to fight and getting into shit with Lex Luthor. She was more about peace and love, and she was a hippy dippy chick. Like, that's the version of Supergirl that I know, right? And I know that's probably not the original version, don't get me wrong, because that's the version that probably came out of the 70s that, I grew up with in the 80s, right? She was kind of more known as, like, the Earth First kind of fucking character, and always, I for some reason, every time I seen her in comics and pictures and stuff like that, she was surrounded by animals and shit, right? Like, just, and like in the Supergirl movie, they literally give her like 5 minutes to just fucking dance and fucking fly around. Like, that's the kind of shit I would see Supergirl doing. She's a girl. Like, she's going to do girly things, right? There would be nothing wrong with making a Supergirl movie that was girly for the girls. And I wouldn't care. At that point, I'd be like, yep, made it for the girls. It's fine. Do your thing. Whatever. But give us a Batman or give us a Wonder Woman that's kick-ass, because at this point, what are you doing? And Wonder Woman would make absolute sense because you're coming off of the success of the original Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot, and she just snuffed it with the second film. So what do? You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you keep on going. It could turn out like Andrew Garfield, or it could turn out even better. You don't know. But at that point, why not? Because they did it to Michael Keaton back in 1996 or 5 or whatever fucking year it was when they did Batman Forever, and that was less than what 5 to 6 years after the other one, and they were still in the same continuity. At this point, I don't think the audience would have cared. I think they would have cared less had they had something like that instead of this, I guess, is my point at the end of the day.
Well, I'd be curious how the AMC, they have these fan first previews, not free previews, but you have to pay. But you get to go see it 2 days early. Kind of curious how many of those sell out.
I didn't get that. I think I just got the regular one. So
it's sold out. The ones here. Yeah. I mean, they should be sold out here in LA.
Yeah.
In regards to the fan fest, I couldn't get into that one. I'm watching it on Thursday, which is pretty full. But there's just so many problems. Along with what Tom was saying, is that they keep promoting this movie and talking about this movie to an audience that just doesn't exist.
Yeah,
they're
almost hostile to it in a way.
Well, the hostility is to the audience who you should have been catering to. Which
that's the irony, that they don't understand that the people they're hostile to, that's your audience, and the people you imagine as your audience, they don't exist, or they do exist, but they're never going to see this movie.
So I agree, like in as far as her past comments, but I'm referring to something she just said maybe a day or two ago on the red carpet, where they asked her
what did she say?
They asked her about is is Kara, the character, like, bisexual or Pride Month or
Oh my
something
God.
like that?
Let me
And
guess who asked that.
no, it was like a female. Like,
Oh, it wasn't what's his face?
no, and
Mark?
it was in Brazil. So, she had an accent. She was speaking in
Oh,
English.
okay.
And, she basically said, well, she doesn't live in the binaries we do. So I'm sure she loves Pride, that type of thing. I'm like, what are you doing? Who are you promoting this to? Those people don't come and see your films on a level that you need to be a box office success. And I was just like, this is just ridiculous. This is just absolutely ridiculous. So it's got, there's a lot of problems. So, I'm sure it'll turn off even more people. That's all I'm saying and she was very nice and pleasant. Herself trying to answer this. She wasn't being snooty or whatever, but I'm like, wow, you guys don't even realize the thick bubble that you guys live in and cater to. None of those people go see your movies, man. They just want to make sure you've checked the boxes. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah. But
They're not
those
just
people are the echo chamber around her. So I don't really blame her. I mean, obviously, it's a really, really, really stupid thing to say. We know this. We understand that. Not entirely convinced that she understands that, because she is surrounded by people who keep on telling her, oh, this is the most important thing ever, to like, and now is Pride Month, and you can't say anything to offend the gays and stuff because that's the echo chamber. I mean, just imagine for a second if she had said, no, like, Supergirl, she's straight. Oh, she loves the D. I mean, all the Pride umbrella rainbow companies of LA would have turned on the movie instantly if she had done that. If she in any way, shape, or form had done anything to say that, oh no, Supergirl is totally straight, they wouldn't have stood for that. And that's the people in the echo chamber. But of course, that's the problem, because you are now making a movie for an echo chamber, but that echo chamber is completely separated from the rest of the freaking world. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the reason why Hollywood finds itself in its current rut. They're making movies for themselves, for their own echo chamber, that are repellent to the rest of the world.
It's interesting. I don't know if you guys remember the reporting on this, but what was it, back in March or so? World of Real was talking about how this movie has had 7, 8 test screenings. So they've been tweaking it all the way. And I don't know if that means they're just trying to make a perfect Supergirl movie. Or
I don't know if I buy into that, because I've heard that, but I've not
Well,
heard it from my
test
people.
screenings resulted in more Superman, more Lobo. It did change.
See, that was from a while ago. See, that was the thing. I remember reporting on that months ago, and Andre may back me up on this if he remembers.
Yeah. We did.
So I remember saying that, they were doing some shoots, but that had less to do with anything to do with any testing. It had to do with they were gearing up for Man of Tomorrow, so they were going to do the Superman bits then, and they were going to do some more Lobo stuff, because they did do a test thing that he was testing well. That was all I had heard. But where this like multitudes of test screenings came from, I had not heard that anywhere but those one sources that were saying it. It was like, trust me, bro. Right? Because they had no citation whatsoever of where because I'm sorry, you have 8 test screenings of a movie. There's going to be leaks all over the fucking internet about that movie. Guaranteed. If we have 1 or 2 screenings of a movie, we get a leak. So this is where I'm going, wait a minute here. This doesn't add up. And again, I'm not trying to stick up for James Gunn or anything like that. I'm just going, this makes absolutely no fucking sense unless you're doing certain internal screenings. But even then, 8 seems excessive. That doesn't even make sense. And I think he denied that. Actually,
well, he denies a lot of stuff.
He does, though. And again, I know that doesn't carry much weight. But at the end of the day, that one is one I will believe, because 8 test screenings, that doesn't make sense, especially without having any kind of leaks come out of it. We should have the entire film completely broke down, scene for scene, beat for beat now.
No,
even though the changes.
Unless it's changing each screening. I mean, you never know, right?
Tom is absolutely right. Even with in-house screenings, that it's not open to the public, you're not inviting the public, that gets out. That gets out. Then they'll have some that are private, but they invite like, influencers, so to speak. That gets out. So yeah,
I'm not buying into this. I believe 3. I believe they did one
That's a
before
lot,
they did
man.
the first. Yeah, I think they did one before the first reshoots. And I think they've done 1 or 2 since then. That would be my guess. And the movie is only like 90 some minutes longer, so it's a shorter film. So supposedly
it's 1 hour 47 minutes. It
Yeah.
started
Oh,
out.
that's
well
really
over
good.
2.
That's good.
so
Now,
that
I
means they've
saw-
chopped a
It'll be
bunch
shorter,
out. That
though.
means, yeah.
Quick search that I just did shows it's had more than 10 test screenings. So
Yeah, see,
No.
these keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. See, this is where I don't. And here's the problem:
Yeah,
we have.
that's big fish right there.
Yeah, see, this has gone
well,
from.
that
couple
information
to-
is from Cosmic Book News.
That's what I'm saying. See, you've got, and I started this whole story to keep in mind, Cosmic Book News is a pro Snyder news source, right? Like that's the problem with a lot of this stuff is. You've got so many different parties involved in this. I only buy certain things that I hear or see, and half of it I don't. I believe a lot of what I hear from my own personal people, that's just because they have no reason to lie to me. But a lot of them are so far removed from things, they're just hearing rumors too, right? So you guys got to kind of remember that at times. It just depends on where they're located within things, and I can't say certain things or it'll give away certain things. But at the end of the day,
Geeks and Gamers says it too, but also World of Real.
but I think they got it from World of Real. That's what that day that I poked around online and I found out I'm like, where's everybody getting it from? They're all citing it from the same source, and it was Trust Me, Bro. That's my problem with this. Nobody ever cites any sources anymore about where they got it from.
But see, something like that, right?
What
Something
source
like
could you
that. Let me butt in for a second.
You could at least say an inside source, somebody who said they were at the screening. They don't even say
But see,
that.
something like that is if
my
you're
point.
going to know somebody physically at these effing screenings, which
But that's my
majority of
point,
the time
Paulie, is that they're not
place-
saying that.
take place in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, to be fair though, because you're all right. Because here's like the thing: you then have World of Real, and they maybe could have been more specific about what their source is. Probably it is someone that they know, but they didn't specify that. So Paul is completely right about that. But if they don't sufficiently specify, we just have to go with their word. But once it's published, Geeks and Gamers and everyone else, they're free to run with it, because World of
And
Real,
that's what I saw.
they do have their sources. So then you generally trust it, even though they could have been more specific about it.
Well, they only said reported.
My guess would be that someone who they usually trust told it to them.
Yeah.
Now, where did they learn it from? We don't know. It's impossible to bring that completely back. That's why you have to use like your own.
But my point was, I went back through the trail, and if my memory serves correctly, it was just World of Real, and they didn't even specify a source in the story. It just said that they were just basically blanket reporting.
Reportedly,
Reportedly, like from whom? Right? Some Snyder bro? Some guy that works in a fucking studio?
YouTube video. It's like it's gotta have a absolutely. You can't cite yourself, guys.
They've changed composers 3 times on this movie, guys.
That's not that. They did the same thing for Superman.
Okay, all right.
It's not that's a lot. It's just that happens a lot, bro.
It does happen a lot.
Do you know why that happens though?
Why? Because
reshoots, massive reshoots.
Because they start doing. Yeah, well, go ahead, Paulie.
Get it. I'm in the gun zone here, I guess. I'm so sorry.
No.
Listen,
but Paulie is right, because because if you have reshoots, you don't need a completely new composer if the original one is away. You don't ditch a perfectly good score for that. Then you have an intern or someone like that finish up the rest of the score, or just retool what you already have someone else. Then you don't get a new composer, you get a second composer who probably is going to even go uncredited, like a session musician, right?
Actually, that's not true, but
yeah, well,
I was just gonna say, Andre, you'd be surprised how many soundtracks actually have more than one composer now.
Yeah, I wasn't finished though.
Multitudes.
But the other
sorry, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other reason, of course, is they weren't happy with what was delivered. they realize this isn't working, and we need a new score, because what was delivered, we thought it was going to be good, but it's not what we were looking for. Now, we don't know what we were looking for, but not that.
There is one movie that I will invoke that did have some changes to the score because it had a bunch of changes to the film, and that was Michael. In fact, that's part of the reason it only got seven tracks from the score, and one of them didn't even exist in the film because it didn't get put in the movie. You'll have that. Now, Superman, I know, did have multiple composers, but they kept stuff from the original composer, and Gunn said the reason he changed is because the tone of his film changed, because the original composer had started composing the music before the movie had been shot. He was composing from the script because he knew he was going to be busy, and this is probably another thing, is that a lot of these composers, there's only like 4 or 5 of these guys that really work anymore. Like you got Bear McCreary and a couple of other of them, and Hulkenberg and some of the other ones. And like I was saying, half these guys are always the same 2-3 guys are always on the same, all the soundtracks now, right? And they all like pick up where the other one leaves off, it feels like. You'll be surprised how many tracks are scattered throughout, or both of them or one of them. And it's really weird how it's not like it used to be. Like when you had a John Williams or a Jerry Goldsmith, where it was just one guy doing all the music. And even then, I will go back and I would remind people that, Andre, that's where you're right. A lot of times they had assistants and other people helping that did not get credited and or were just put under assistant or whatever in the credits, but they were the ones actually doing most of the fucking work.
Yeah.
Like Sherry Walker is a good example because she was underneath Danny Elfman for years, and then she went on to just do her own stuff. And 9 times out of 10, when you think you're hearing Danny Elfman, you're hearing her. To be honest with you, like she's the one who did a lot of his basic. He would come up with the main themes, and then she would fill all the shit out.
Exactly.
If that makes sense. Kind of like an animator. Like you do the main keyframes, and then you have somebody come in and fill all the in-betweens. That's kind of how that shit worked for years. And then the other problem you'll have here is you'll get a movie done, and this is something that's become more of a problem. And I know Andre's wanted to do a video about this for years.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because what you'll have to happen is you'll have a movie that's being done, and they'll do temp tracks throughout the film, and they'll get so married to those temp tracks that they'll go, can't you just do something like that? To the point where we've actually had multitudes that you haven't heard about, because you've heard about the pop ones, but you haven't heard about the score ones, where people have been taken to court because they're basically ripping off other people's scores. And it's gotten to a point where people are even ripping themselves off. Jerry Goldsmith got to the point where near the end where he was just reusing a lot of his scores because they would use those scores in temp scores, and they would get so married to them that he'd be like, just use that then. Fuck it. Like, that's what they would do. What movie was it you were telling me about, Andre, not too long ago, that they sued because of the music? That was
300.
300, the only invocation of this whole like thing to begin with.
Yeah. But yeah, also like recycle, like composer recycling their own stuff. That also happens. Like for instance, fans of Dexter, I forget the name of the composer, but the score for that, especially most notably the Ice Truck Killer theme, he recycled from 1993 when he did the music for the Lovecraft movie Necronomicon, where that score features prominently. And even the music in He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, much of that was recycled, not the main theme, but plenty background themes were recycled from by the same composers from Mysterious Cities of Gold. So yeah, but this happens. That's a whole separate
stuff,
video.
you mean?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Filmation was notorious, or that not just them, but a lot of them were notorious for just reusing a lot of the.
Oh, that wasn't even Filmation. That was the same composers that were.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like even Hanna-Barbera would do the same shit. They would bank a lot of the same music cues and all that kind of business. It's just, it was ways of cost cutting and saving. But this nowadays, I think it has more to do with the fact that how movies are made compared to what they used to be. And you're not wrong, Chris. Like sometimes it is invoked by a bunch of reshoots that happened, and then now that composer is busy, right? Like that's an obvious thing that happens quite often.
I think really the composers, that was a bit of an exaggeration. I think there was a composer announced, and then they went with Junkie XL to, once production had actually.
And isn't that Tom Hulkenberg, if I'm not mistaken? Yeah. Okay.
And then they've announced another one since then is on it. So there may be 2 composers on it. I just think that The reason not just because World of Real says reportedly there have been 8 screenings. It wouldn't surprise me because so much is riding on this movie for Warner Brothers and the DCU and James Gunn that it's just got to be right. And if they're getting, and it's probably difficult to get this right, particularly with the aesthetic that they appear to be going for. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than 5. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if it's been 8 screenings. I don't believe the 10 screenings that I've heard. But you know, they got a lot riding on this.
Well,
for them.
My source that I just reached out to, who I trust way more than those that you had mentioned,
World of Real,
confirmed with me that it was 3.
So that's the
3,
same word.
yeah.
That's the same number I heard. So there you go.
Yeah.
So,
That basically, now that would be enough for us to basically report it in a video right there. That you guys just saw in real time.
Yep.
How we basically, if we get at least more than one source that says the same exact fucking thing, that's enough for us to go with. But we will still say it's reportedly by inside sources.
right. This is a physical person who I know that goes to these things, works in this business professionally. And I was like, let me just text this guy right now.
Yeah.
That's
But I
how
can
it's done.
see. But I
And
can see where
he says they just do that to stir drama up. Because I was like, why are they saying 10? Just to stir drama up.
Because 3 probably turned into 6, which turned into 8, which turned into 10. Like it's fucking Purple Monkey dishwasher, and it's
I'm not
easy
saying
to
this
believe.
movie doesn't have troubles and challenges.
No,
Yes,
absolutely, and
just
I'm not denying that either. But my point
Right.
is like I can see how that can happen real quick because it happens all the time in this business, right? It's telephone, and especially when you got fires working underneath this, like the Snyder Bros and everything else working against it. Like, and I'm already sitting here flat out saying that this was the stupidest thing that you could have done if you're James Gunn, because there's no way this is going to be a winner. There's no fucking chance.
Yeah.
There's zero. There's none. There's not even Lobo isn't going to save this fucking movie right now. Because
But, adding Lobo did increase a lot of chatter, a lot of excitement.
Absolutely, but at this point, I'm still scratching my head going, all you did was prove that you should have made a Lobo movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And where's Momoa? Like, why isn't he in front of these cameras doing interviews? I would have benched Alcock for a little while. Let me tell you, they were in Brazil, and she had on a Brazilian soccer jersey on, and they were taking photos of her. I'm like, that is the best press I've seen yet. It was just her looking cute. Just do that. She was cute. She was happy. She was smiling. She was dancing. I'm like, and then she ruins it with that interview I told you guys about.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is you can make Supergirl funny, right? And let's invoke He-Man for a moment, because at its core, Supergirl is a fish out of water story, right? I mean, the whole point of it is she was an adult when she left, or almost on the verge of being an adult, but she didn't make it to Earth until after Superman had already been there and grown up. So she's already lived a life almost on a planet where she's become almost an adult. Now she's been subplanted onto a new planet. This is perfect fodder for a fish out of water story like He-Man was. And what did you do? You made a depressing Tom King fucking story about a drunkard who's missing her fucking world, and God knows what else you've done now because of what you've set up in Superman, right?
Yeah.
Like, I still have a feeling that we're going to find out all that shit in that message was bullshit. I have a fucking feeling we're going to find out it was Brainiac, because I've been hearing some rumors about that still. That's why he kind of brushed it off the way he did.
And she looks like an angry ex-girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Like some sort of bitter.
But we also got to understand that I guess they also come from like a world it's much different like than what we've known of Krypton before too, or something like that. But anyhow,
that scene where she meets her cousin for the first time, she's speaking that other language.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking of Lilo Multipass.
But see, you could be having some fun with some of
You
that stuff.
could. Absolutely.
I mean, she's a very powerful person who just showed up on Earth. She doesn't speak a lick of English, and she comes from a completely different culture. Like, think of all the fun that you could have with that. I mean, it could be basically like Wonder Woman, only funner, right? Because Wonder Woman made no sense to me, because as much as a decent film as it was, the problem I had with Wonder Woman outside of the third act was that in any given scene, she was either the smartest or dumbest person in the room.
Mm.
Right? Well, it's because she was supposedly brought up on Themyscira with all these teachings and all this other stuff, and she's got this broad knowledge, but yet when it comes to minor, just everyday bullshit, she's completely, has no idea what the fuck's going on. And maybe there's some consistency to it. I haven't rewatched it since it came out. But that's where you do it to something like that with this character, right? To where it's basically like, oh no, my cousin just showed up and she doesn't speak English and she's, got all these weird ways about her and she's still learning all her powers and I don't know how to really communicate with her and blah, 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 blah. There's so much you could do with that and so much fun you could have with that. But at this point, that's not the movie you do with your second movie out the gate, regardless, whether it's this depressing version or it's the version I just said, because it's not something that's going to bring the audience in, especially when you're on the verge of superheroes dying. Now is when you start playing your fucking hard hands, right? You start throwing out the aces, you start throwing out the kings and jacks, you start doing the best you can to try and get people back in theaters to have some sort of chance at this, because otherwise, guess what, kids? I've been saying this for a couple of years now, and it's coming true faster than I thought. Superhero movies are dying. I mean, even when James Gunn is admitting, one of the few people that is actually admitting that these movies don't make $1 billion anymore, they can't expect to anymore.
Right.
Without, you should ask him why, because then we want to hear why he thinks that, because I'd love to hear the true answer, what he thinks, but that's not the point of this. The point of this is these are on the verge of dying. This was your bread and butter for how many years in Hollywood?
2 decades.
Yeah.
Plus.
Yeah. They were on the verge of basically becoming the new Western, and you fucked that up.
Well, and even the Westerns fell out of favor eventually, right?
They did eventually, but that was because they went from being, the big main thing in film to television to just being that old thing, right? Like it just fell off because space things come in and, as time
movies should have had 2 more decades left in them before that happened on its own. They fucked it up with women and diversity.
Well, I think this movie is going to drop faster than Mandalorian, unless there's some sort of aspirational, inspirational moment in it. I think that to me, that's sort of the thing that is missing in a lot of Gunn's tastes for these superhero films, is that there isn't something that just makes you feel, and I'm not a Snyder bro by any means. I did like Wonder Woman. There was a moment in that Wonder Woman movie. I took my daughter to see it. So it was just the 2 of us and whatever crowd was in the audience. And man, it had, agree, third act, terrible. And I'm hearing that the villain in Supergirl is also weak sauce, but aspirational. I mean, there was just a moment, when Wonder Woman was out on the World War I scene where she just goes out with her shield and takes all the bullets. And man, it got dusty in the theater for me. And that doesn't happen a lot with superhero movies. I don't think there's going to be anything like that in this movie. Anything.
Well,
I think it got dusty, or was there a cleanup crew in there? What's going on?
I think what we've really seen today, especially where we're at, and it's really kind of confirmed my whole point. Spider-Man selling the way it did is just basically what I've said for a while now. Unless it's Spider-Man, you can't guarantee shit. You can't guarantee anything anymore.
I didn't even know Tom Holland and Zendaya got married.
I've known that for a while, but
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like even this, I'll be curious to see if this plays past the first weekend. I know Spider-Man's going to have a hell of an opening, but again, this goes off of what we were talking about earlier with Star Trek. The only reason this movie's selling tickets like it is Spider-Man No Way Home. Make no mistake about it. If it wasn't for that movie being the last film that came out, there's no way this movie would be selling the type of tickets it is.
I think it's going to be the only show in town for a while. It's got to be a good film, and
it's going to kill this movie right here.
Oh no, because
I think it comes out.
This movie doesn't have a chance, right?
Doesn't Spider-Man come out like a week or 2 after this movie?
I think it's 2 weeks.
Is it 2 weeks? I was going to say, I think it's July weekend, 4th of July weekend. I think Spider-Man comes out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks.
July.
Somebody in chat probably knows better than me.
Yeah, I'd have to go look at the schedule again, but
I'm gonna look right now.
Yeah, this is where we're going to get into summer season, and it's going to get loaded. And and see that, like Six says, here's the reason why there's only going to be a handful of superheroes post this that are going to be any ones that you can make movies out of. They're going to be Spider-Man, Batman, probably Deadpool, if as long as it's Ryan Reynolds, and X-Men.
So
Superman and the rest, maybe. Like, yeah,
okay, so Toy Story is coming out now.
this weekend, yes.
Then you got Supergirl next week,
Yep.
and then you have Minion and Monsters July 1st, Moana July 10th, Odyssey July 17th, Spider-Man July 31st.
Yeah.
Oh, so that doesn't come out till the end of July. Jesus, and that's already selling out tickets? Jeez.
So going back to Supergirl, as we stand right now, The Mandalorian's made 315 million worldwide. Can Supergirl hit that?
Fuck no. I this is going to be the next big flop of the summer.
You think it's going to be a Masters flop?
I don't know if it's going to do as bad as Masters did.
we're now, Andre. What have we come to?
No, I'm serious. Like, I do feel like this movie has more of a
Right
chance
now,
than
we're
Masters.
teasing. We're teasing our next video. In absolute dollars, it's not going to do as badly as Masters, right?
No,
Because Masters open to less than 30 million. This
Yeah.
thing, according to all tracking, is going to open to 50 million, and if it
At
comes in
least.
below that, it's going to open to 40 some million, which is still 10 million above where Masters was, or more 10 million plus more than where Masters was. So in absolute numbers, it's not going to do as badly as Masters. However, there's a hedge to that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how badly Masters did because it's Amazon. This hit, forget about Masters, about, at least it's not going to do as badly as Masters. This thing is going to be extremely detrimental to the bottom line of DC, Warner, and to Paramount by the time all is said and done. There's simply no way around it. This movie right here is going to be a net negative for everything, and they would have been better off not releasing it. That's how this is going to end up doing.
This should have just been straight to streaming.
James Gunn's DC, big time. That's what's going to happen. So in this sense, the repercussions are going to be worse than Masters of the Universe, because there's more riding on it. Amazon, they have nothing riding on Masters of the Universe. Either they do sequels, they do She-Ra, or they don't. Whatever, doesn't matter.
There's more writing on Mattel. I guarantee you, Mattel
cares. Yeah,
has more of a say or sway whether or not there's a sequel to Masters
but I
of the
have
Universe.
no sympathy because they're part of the problem there.
Yeah, and I guarantee you it's going to boil down to how well or not these toys have sold. And I'm not so sure they're selling as good as we think, because my own local Walmart didn't even fucking bother with them.
What the hell do you mean as good as we think? Because I think they're completely collecting dust on shelves.
I think you're right. Well, I got a lot of people claiming that they're buying them and they can't find them because they're being sold out. Like, I'm sitting here going, I don't know about that, because I had no problems really finding any. And outside of in my local Walmart, where I said, like, they didn't even bother having a section. They didn't even get any, period. None. They didn't bother. Like, as far as they were concerned, there was no interest in them, because they had discounted and got rid. That's how I managed to get a lot of my classic cartoon figures for next to nothing, is because my local Walmart, when they were getting them, nobody was buying them but me. So they were discounting them.
For you.
Yeah, for me, basically. And they still got more Grizzlors than they could fucking sell. So, like, at this point, like, yeah, I don't think this is going to do as bad. I think you're right, Andre. I think you're on the money. And I don't know if we're going to get a sequel to Masters of the Universe. I think Mattel, they were hoping for a boost the second weekend with the positive buzz that they did have.
Yeah, good luck with
But
that.
I don't think that buzz was enough, and I don't think enough people gave a shit. And the people that are buying toys are us. And when you rejected a large portion of your audience or made fun of them, or however you want to put it, with this movie, regardless of what some people may feel about it, look, and I've said this before and I'll say it again in the nicest of terms, people may have been fans of Motu, but I guarantee if you actually really go back in time and think about it, they were probably more fans of Transformers and G.I. Joe and other things if they're enjoying this film. Because if you were it seems like more hardcore of a Masters of the Universe fan you are, the more you feel like Andre and I did. And I've had a lot more people come back to me in the last 2 weeks than at first when we initially set this thing off and Gary had retweeted my clip or whatever, or tweeted out my clip or whatever. So things have changed a little bit. I've gotten a lot more people come to me now in private going, I agree with you. You were 100% right. I can't believe they did this to Masters of the Universe. People who waited at first, they was like, I didn't go first weekend because I wasn't sure. And then I went because people were saying it was so good, but oh God, I wish I hadn't. You'd be surprised. I've gotten almost as many or more of those than I did the negative. So,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, honestly. I agree with that assessment. I think that many of the people who liked this movie in our age group, they were probably more so fans of G.I. Joe and Transformers than they were Masters of the Universe. I mean, I could, like, for myself, for instance, yeah, I like G.I. Joe fine. I much prefer the second movie because it was closer to the cartoon that I remember. But it's not like I have like any huge, that brand don't mean that much to me. It's not going to be like, I don't care really what happens to it, what happens to the movies. I sympathize with the fans. I want it to be good for the fans, but I'm not really among them. I think that's very, very much the case with Mode 2. But we do have to move on because we have a lot of super chats to run through here as well.
We're losing Chris here soon, so.
Yeah, I got to bail. I enjoyed it. We'll see, I guess, how the movies do, but I can guarantee you one thing is for certain. This weekend, number one is going to be Toy Story 5.
Oh, yeah. And that might be why I don't know what else is coming out next weekend, but that's probably why Cosmic Book News is predicting that Supergirl might not even open at the top.
Maybe it would have to be Toy Story 5 because the only other movie that even hits my radar that's coming out is like Jackass 5 or whatever.
And I don't see that being a big competition. But Toy Story 5, here's the weird thing about Toy Story 5. This is going to be an anomaly to me because I thought Toy Story 4 was going to turn a lot of people off. But now you have some of the rumors that had came out. And then you even had Alan Ing come out and basically confirm all the rumors. But he also said it was one of the best Pixar movies in years. So go figure on that one. Yeah. I mean, he flat out said, this is Bonnie's story, that, what's her face? Jesse the Cowboy is the more main toy or what have you. But
I don't really have a problem with that. I mean, they've told everybody else's story, and even Buzz got his own movie, so his whole backstory was told, even though it was him sacrificing himself so that an interracial lesbian couple can have a child. I mean, there's the elevator pitch.
I mean, guys, unless the movie, unless the movie ends with Woody actually finding, Andy, then I don't care. Chris,
guys, I'll see you on Friday. Enjoyed it. Good to see you, Paulie. Good to see you, Tom. Good to see you, Andre, and keep those super chats coming. Hey, everybody, chip in and buy Tom a ticket to Spider-Man. See you guys.
All right. Indeed. Cheers.
So let's get to these super chats, guys. You've been so patient.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's run through them before we
got Jeremy Hembry, who points out that Jeremy of Clarkson Farms has cancer. I'm sorry to hear that. That's too bad.
That's the Top Gear guy. So he came out. He was diagnosed last year, and he hopes he's going to make it till he's 70, which is 4 years hence. So our best thoughts and best wishes to Clarkson.
And Pack of Proton sends in 5 to say, I liked Insurrection, a nice slower movie after First Contact. I actually enjoy Insurrection, although it's kind of a rip-off of that one episode of TNG, but
yeah, I partially enjoy it.
Yeah, it's got issues.
It's got issues, absolutely. I do think, though, it was the wrong story for a big screen movie because, you like Insurrection. It's a nice, slower movie after First Contact, which is great when you are binging all of the movies in a row. But it came out a couple of years later, when the brand when there was no more TNG on TV. And there's, let's see, was DS9 still on, or was that also rolling down at the time? I recall anyway. But anyway, point is, it was starting to be a dearth of compelling Star Trek on TV. If DS9 was still on, it was winding down.
I was going to say, it might have been in between Enterprise and
no, Enterprise was not on yet at the time.
No, that's what I said, in between. As I say, it might have been in between.
Yeah. So I just felt that it was this wrong story at the wrong time. It was too boring a story at the time.
This is what I was wondering. No, actually, we had DS9 and Voyager on at the same time as that movie came out.
What season in DS9 was on
DS9
when
season
Insurrection came
7
out?
and Voyager season 5.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So you're basically in the final season of DS9. TNG is long since gone, and the flagship series at this point, honestly, is Voyager. So this is now in the declining stage of Star Trek. And for such a declining state, Insurrection is the wrong movie to come out. It was the wrong story. I get that people like the movie, and that's fine. Like, partially, I like it too, but it was the wrong story at the wrong time. And the price for that was paid in full with next time around with Nemesis.
Well, there you go. I actually enjoy it, but I do agree with Andre. It does have issues. Plus, isn't that the one that they never even finished? Like the special effects and shit. Like they put it out completely unfinished at the end.
You know what?
They
It was
still have
so
the green-
boring.
blue
I
screen
don't
and
even
shit.
remember. I just
That's the one where they're
remember, like,
fighting in the thing, and they still have the blue screen and everything. They never even bothered putting in the background or whatever.
I don't remember. I just remember it was like so silly with like F. Murray Abraham crying to his
Yeah.
mother or stuff like that
Yeah.
towards the end there. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the part where it kind of goes off the rails.
that's
Miller's-
what I mean.
Yeah. Miller says at 35 South African rands to say Kurtzman's got 3-month extension, 4 posts on 2 seasons. Nothing new will be announced this year because he's holding it hostage until after Comic-Con. That could very well be.
Yeah, see, this is why it's so stupid. Like, you shouldn't be giving the guy any extensions whatsoever, because yeah, he's just holding it hostage, and this is again, it's a management problem. You
Well, this is
can't
where I don't
really
trust
blame
Ellison's.
Kurtzman. You have to blame the people above him. So the Ellisons need to do better here.
This is where I'm not so sure that the Ellison buyout was a good move, and I'm really worried about Warner Brothers. Like, y'all were clamoring for, not y'all, not everybody, but a lot of people were. And I understand why. But at this point, we're facing a situation where if this guy was not the saving grace you guys were hoping for, he just destroyed 2 fucking studios instead of just 1. And Warner Brothers was actually on its way back. It was healing. And now, if this guy comes in and just destroys it, then in fact, I'm to the point where I don't think Warner Brothers is going to be a studio that much longer. I think it's going to basically be like 20th Century underneath Disney before long. I don't think he's going to do or be able to do any of the promises that he fucking made. They haven't even been able to produce 30 movies in Paramount. In what world does he think he's going to be able to do that? Or 15 movies in Paramount, let alone do 30 out of 2 studios is what I meant to say.
Yeah, and for those that hoping that this is some kind of super based MAGA dude, he's never said that. That's been
That's the
projected
thing.
onto him. He's never said that himself.
His dad is friends with Trump, and Trump has said nice things to him. And don't get me wrong, I'm not so sure that his dad didn't help grease the wheels to get things going through so quickly as they did. Because I'll be honest, I can't believe that there was no resistance or hesitation or anything that was put in place to where this just went through as quickly as it did. So I'm like, all right, we'll see here.
We'll see.
Because yeah, well, this is the proof is in the pudding now, kids. Because not only because for a while there, we're just going to see how he's going to handle Paramount. We didn't even get a chance to see that yet. Now we get to see how he handles 2 studios.
Yep.
He basically has half of everything in Hollywood now. Think about that for a minute. Because basically those were 2 of the biggest players in Hollywood.
But while you think about that, let's move
Yes,
on.
keep
here.
going. Burnout says in 2022, Illumination beat Pixar with Minions: Rise of Gru. Will that happen again with Minions and Monsters versus Toy Story 5, anti-woke versus woke? Well, which one is which? That's the question. Now, Minions, as far as I can tell, is completely benign. Those movies I think will do fine. I think that's going to make $1 billion. Now, Toy Story 5 is going to be, how much of a tearjerker is it? When
Well,
you got
I know,
guys like, yeah.
judging from my kids, there's interest in Toy Story 5. There really, I was surprised by that, but there is interest in Toy Story 5.
Kids might be eating well this summer. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I think so.
Because the Minions one,
Our review was pretty positive on Toy Story 5. It came out yesterday. Doesn't reach the original's trilogy heights, but comes close. Heartfelt, visually stunning sequel proves the franchise still has plenty of life left.
Yeah,
that tells me maybe that
good as
bit
you
I
can
just
hope for.
maybe he does make his way back to Andy. Because that's the only way I could see people being okay with this being Jesse's story. That's the only way I could see people being okay with this.
Oh, people having problems with it being Jesse's story?
That was initially the problem, was a lot of people like, oh, this is all Bonnie's story now. It's all girl power, blah, 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 blah. The only way I could see people giving this a pass is if Andy and Woody end up together at the end of the film. Somehow, some way. That's the only way I could see people giving it a pass.
Depends on the people, though.
Well, no, but I mean, like Alan Ing walking out and giving it a glowing review, also confirming everything that's come
true.
out.
He would.
That's what I'm saying. That to me is like, okay, maybe there's something here to where, because they have a bunch of hints in there to where, Woody's getting old. He's, got a bald spot. They poke fun at him. And as far as I know, he doesn't technically live with the other toys still. He's still off doing his thing or whatever. So wouldn't it be surprising if by the end of the film, at first, out of some happenstance, he winds up back in Andy's possession? Because that's what bothered a lot of people, was that everybody thought of all the toys he would let go, he would let them all go, but Andy would not let go of Woody. Why would you do that? That is the stupidest thing in the world. It's just, there's no way. No boy has ever gotten rid of their favorite toy from when they were a kid. Anyway, Kalekioki, if they do, they generally spend how much money on eBay to get it back? Is my point. Kalekioki says, with 2 messages here, so we're going to try and read this all together from the Rumble side of things. All right. Think we're at the point where we can officially ask how long James Gunn has at Warner Brothers. Reports are now saying Supergirl might not even debut. Number 1 has to be the most embarrassing second film release. And then it goes on to a second part. Had the easiest layup ever start with the Trinity and you failed to even do that. I don't see him staying a second longer after the Man of Tomorrow. Ultimately, his failure falls on Zaslav's and Gunn. Sadly, I can't argue with the last part if this is what's true, but from everything we've heard, again, Ellison is planning, and the people at Paramount are planning on keeping James Gunn on. So, again, I don't know if they're just saying that now because that's the public thing to say, or if because they have just as much faith in James as Zaslav did. Because, again, it all is going to fall out the way it's going to fall out, but I totally understand why they went after James Gunn to begin with.
Yeah, I understand that too. And you can also ask the question, who's better to take over? Of any, of course, I'm not saying they don't exist people that wouldn't be as good or even better than James Gunn, but of people that Hollywood would be likely to choose for such a position, who has the track record and proven themselves in the way that James Gunn has? I can't think of any.
And then you also have to go on.
You can get rid of him, but who do you replace him with?
And you also have to find somebody who wants the job too. That's the other problem.
That's true. And this is going to be because and this was one of my objections against doing a complete reboot back in the Snyder Day. Like when I was also saying, okay, fine, you do a complete reboot. What if it fails? What if you do wrong? Do you then reboot again and again and again? So we're basically doing the same spiel that the Japanese did with the Millennium Godzilla series, where every new movie was a reboot, because the audience is going to be tired of that real quick. That's how you lose. I'm still can't believe they're doing the Batman Part 2, because it's another competing cinematic universe, as their main one is struggling. So
Batman.
I was going to say,
Batman. Yeah.
The way the things I've heard with the Batman, the only reason that thing is happening is contractual, and the only other reason it's happening is from what I heard in the first place, and that it was told was because the Penguin actually did well. Because if you'll remember, what did I say? But what did I say? 2 years ago now, Andre? A lot of this is going to be predicated on how well the Penguin does.
Yeah.
And it's all under Matt Reeves, who they really respect and love, kind of like James Gunn, and they're all pals. So that was going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's happening. I maintain is damaging the DC brand overall by diluting the brand.
You could be right. Well, oh, my dog.
Yeah, absolutely. We it's unmistakable noises. So yeah. But let's move on. I'm sure we have some more super chats we still need to go through as well. Let's see here. I believe the next one we have then is Corporal Jenkins, who says for $5, "Hey guys, don't forget that the person who is considered one of the best, if not the best American wrestler is none other than Abraham Lincoln. True story. Did we get this? I heard something about that earlier. And then
Well, he was a brawler, and he loved he did love to
he
wrestle.
was a tough guy. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
there is a lot of truth to that one.
Yeah.
Although I don't know what the wrestling back then as compared to now.
Was hardly mixed martial arts, but still pretty brutal.
No, but he did get a lot. He did tussle it up a lot.
Yeah. And then you'll like this one, Paulie. Detailed Devil says, "Thank you, Andre, for recommendation. Loved Gods of Egypt. Cheesy and too much CGI, but sincere." See, I told you, Gods of Egypt is a highly underrated movie that was unfairly cancelled when it came for its lack of diversity. But it's a brilliant, brilliant movie, completely honest in its storytelling. And no, Paulie, that's not the Ridley Scott thing. That's not the one that you thought. It's not funny. Kingdom of Heaven. It's
that was so funny, man.
Yeah.
I got to see that one. You know what I just finished was Spartacus, the TV show.
Oh, that's brilliant. I still haven't seen the final season or the new season that was cancelled right away.
I'm not going to see that.
House of Usher. But the original series, the 4 seasons plus the prequel, dude, is fantastic.
Dude, I mean, that's how you end it. That's how you end. I mean, homie went out on his shield. That was just glorious, man.
Yeah. And never has there been a series that has recovered as much in the first season as Spartacus, because it begins like a shit 300 ripoff, looking like complete garbage, and then it finds its way midway through season 1. It becomes amazing. So
even with that said, I still appreciate, like, they really owned that style, and then they improved on it. And then, of course, you have the great cast, and
they just have to find their way first,
right? What I was impressed too was that they, of course, was the passing of the young actor at that time, and kind of like, all right, let's do the prequel, and then they were gonna recast. That prequel was amazing.
I forget the name, but the showrunner behind that, he was the one that Netflix originally wanted to do Conan the Barbarian.
Really?
Netflix series. Yeah. Or more specifically, he was the one that the Conan properties wanted. And Netflix were developing it, and it looked pretty solid and good until Ted Biaselli, the same guy that destroyed Masters of the Universe Revelation, decided, we need to add some DEI into the mix here. Didn't use those exact words, but that's the gist of what happened. And then after he basically listed his demands for how this is going to be, that's when Conan properties were like, yeah, nope, we're not doing this, and they pulled the rights away.
Well, I mean,
and of course, the showrunner, he was long gone by that point. He was
highly recommend Spartacus. I had never seen it, and so I just saw it. I just started a couple months ago, and I was so impressed. I'm so happy I was able to watch the whole thing, and just like, man, they couldn't get away with a show like that right now. Maybe now.
Now you could.
So
now increasingly, but
listen, they canceled House of Usher, which says something, because I didn't see.
Was it? But that was the lack of ratings and viewership, wasn't it?
No, I think I heard it. I think I heard it did decent, but I'm thinking that it just. I don't know. You know what? I got to look into that before.
It was too early. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't pretend to know. Either way, Valentine Puppy says for $2, Paulie on Brain Show 100K. Saw ya. #save Stargate. I'm trusting that must make sense to you.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have the Brain Show on right now, live in a couple minutes. I went down. I got invited to go down to MGM Studios yesterday, which is like 5 minutes away from my house. And they did the flyover with the #save Stargate, Andre. They actually had a plane flying over MGM, and then you had you had people there. Anyways, the Brain Show was there on the streets. In their live stream, they got about like 80 to 100,000 live viewers. It was a lot of fun, and I was happy to support it.
Awesome, very cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very cool. So yeah, do check that out, and this stream will be redirecting to that. So
okay, I'm gonna bounce on out because I want to start it.
Go for it. Yeah.
Is that okay?
Of course, give R&B my regards.
Oh, R&B's Friday. Today is
Okay.
the Brain Show. So Robert Meyer Burnett's Friday, but
All right, yeah.
there's stick around, guys. There's a lot of super chats, and these guys are still answering your super chats. Thank you guys so
Indeed.
much.
Yeah.
Bye, Andre.
Thanks for joining. And then Valentine Puppy also says for $2, Tom, if no TMNT turtle pies, I'll never go. LOL.
If they're smart, they should have them there, but I can't, you know, I can't understand why they haven't redone those yet. I mean, Nickelodeon has licensed out and put Ninja Turtles on every other goddamn thing you can. I've seen like toiletries and other things that with Ninja Turtles
the
on.
toilet paper. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, like seriously, literally. So why can't you make these again? Hostess, what the fuck are you doing? Nickelodeon,
Remember, I had
what the
like
fuck are you doing?
I had like a Turtles wallet back in the day.
All they were vanilla pies with green fucking frosting on them. That's really all they were, guys. I mean, there weren't nothing special about them, but that's all they did. Like, people loved them. The reason I bought them, I didn't like them. I think they were fucking nasty. I bought them because they came with the fucking cards. That's the only reason. I think it was Hostess that did them, wasn't it?
You're asking the wrong guy.
No, in the chat, somebody said, I don't know, in the chat, if it wasn't Hostess, it was one of those pie companies. But anyhow. Packet Proton says, how can I meet nice Scottish, English, Japanese type lassie sailing over for football? Well, you got to be where the games are, I'm assuming.
That's a good start. You have to be where the games are.
That's a start.
And then you also look for someone that went with a friend, with the gang, but who is single, because honestly, most of the ladies who go there, they're going to go with their boyfriends or their husbands already. So 9 out of 10 of the women you see there are going to be taken. So you want to look for the one that looks really uncomfortable in the company. Don't look for the hottest in the crowd or in each individual little clique, because she's definitely taken.
There you go. 91 Moon Knight sends in 5 Australian to say Paulie has we missed this before Paulie got
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Paulie has consistently said Sid Sweeney would make a good Supergirl and would make $1 billion. Thoughts? It would have been a lot better. I think.
Are you sure you're not conflicting with me? Because I'm the one that has said that Sydney Sweeney in Red Sonja would make $1 billion, and I stand by that.
Yeah, she would have been a much better choice, I think.
Yeah. Especially if they made it look like a Frazetta painting. Have some mid slips and stuff like that in there too. Yeah, that's $1 billion is secured.
Then we got Detail Double in the house. It said saw The Martian 3D at AMPAS, walked to diner and equals Escape from New York. Or LA.
Escape from LA, yeah,
that's what I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
Dada Miwa is in the house and he says, would a 7 trillion AI bailout would end the economy? Would that end the economy if it's 7 trillion?
Okay, you have to be more specific about what you mean here, because for one thing, 7 trillion, that's a whole lot of money. And then it's a matter of bailout for what? Bailing out who? The AI companies, so that they can keep on making everyone else employed with the inflation, stuff like that. I do not understand the premise of the question. You have to be clear with the premise of what exactly it is you're asking there, because like from the keywords.
I mean, if like the government does some kind of bailout to the AI companies, is that what you're asking?
Well, they shouldn't. And if they do, it shouldn't be for the 7 trillion, because that's completely ridiculous. Because like the thing, the AI companies, they don't deploy that many people. They suck up a lot of resources. Oh, they do that. I mean, those data centers and stuff like that, that requires resources. But for all the money that's being put into it, they don't employ that many people. So it would it end the economy? No, but it would change it. That it most definitely would, and not necessarily in a way that's going to benefit you in the slightest. But then again, AI was never about making any kind of benefit to you. I mean, you're incidental. You're really the product when it comes to AI. That's why they all want you using it.
That's what he means. Yeah. If they were to get a bailout. So, I mean, I don't know if he meant the 7 trillion or billion or something like that. But yeah, if the government were to even think about
If they
bailing
were to
out,
give $7 trillion, I mean,
well,
we
like I
would
said, let's say for
definitely
the sake of
notice.
it, argument to be billion, maybe even would be more obvious. Maybe is what he meant.
At $7 billion, you wouldn't even notice because that's
Yeah,
pocket change. That's pocket change for the U.S. Army.
but
7 trillion is not.
yeah, I was gonna say 7 billion sounds more likely. But the thing is, right now, from my understanding, is necessarily that I think that they would need a bailout. It's just they don't have enough power, right? Like that's my understanding is that AI takes so much power.
Yeah. More
That's the
specifically, the
problem.
data centers require so
Yes.
much power. And this is coming in an economy that has gone green and
Yeah.
shut down all of the stuff that's actually making power. I mean, you want AI, you know what you're going to need? Nuclear power plants. Lots and lots of nuclear power plants. Hey, really, every single AI factory really should have a nuclear power plant all of their own, if we're completely honest, because we're talking about that kind of energy drainage here.
We might as well, if anything, to get behind, like if there's anything you want to get behind to slow down or help stop AI from taking shit over, is point out how bad it is for the economy and the environment, because you're putting in the we don't have the power facilities to be able to output what people are using AI for, and really, is it really worth damaging the planet over a video of Mickey Mouse fucking Donald Duck?
Well, here's the thing. That's not what AI really is for. That's
No,
just the
I know,
data
but that's what
collection
it's being
aspect of
used
it.
for. Let's be fucking real.
That's by design.
But let's get with the real
Yeah.
obviousness here. Like at the end of the
That's
day,
what it's being used for visibly by us that we can
I
see.
know,
That is
I
not
know.
what it's being used
There's
for behind
other,
the scenes.
I know. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
we're getting to a point where I'm like, if we want an argument to get behind to slow AI down, it's that it's not good for our environment. In a lot of ways. I mean, I know there's a lot of the Earth first stuff, whatever, but like, no, seriously, you'd have to start a lot of more power plants. The damage it would do to the water is not good. There's a lot of stuff in this that we have not. I don't think a lot of people have taken into consideration when it comes to AI and how much power it needs to run. But anyhow, Bucky Cat sends in $9.99 for this Tom Spider-Man fund. We'll have to see if Andre can help me out with that, because otherwise,
Much
I don't know if I'm
appreciated.
going to be able to
well,
do that today or not.
Bucky Cat has been noticed, so I'm sure we can arrange that.
In fact, yeah. Then we got Dark Hierophant, who's been here for 29 months, speaking of being here. So thank you for that, Dark Hierophant. And then Burnouts 3S3 says Minions is going to run circles around Superworld. Yeah, that's no doubt.
Sure. Yeah.
That's no doubt. Yeah. Robert James Films says, Paulie, oh, here we got another one for Paulie, but he left. Sorry. I'd say Kiefer doing 24 opened the door. I think he means, was that a show that was shot outside of Hollywood?
Possibly.
Probably. Well, a lot of TV is shot outside of Hollywood, period. Most of it's shot in Canada, and that's where, like, Paul was here earlier. Paul Chato, he would have told you that. Pack of Proton says, I call her Cro Magnum Woman due to the unique face features. Look, I want to stay away from that kind of stuff. That's the easy peasy shit. Like, she says enough stupid shit that you don't need to go after her for her looks.
Yeah, no, go after her for what she says. That's also a target.
And that's because I'm also a chud, so I got no room to talk. But yeah. DCB Titan says, can we move away from the DC Trinity and do something else? How about the Martian Manhunter movie? Just called it Manhunter. You know,
or how about the Lobo movie, which is what they really should have done here.
Yeah, I mean, there's that aspect too. But then again, we're at this point where, guess what, kids? It's their own fault, but we're not going to be getting a lot of these kind of B-level, C-level characters anymore.
No.
Only on television and other places, because there's no money in it. There's no incentive. This isn't like it was in the heyday when they were buying up every property they could, or if you happened to have, DC like Warner Brothers did, it was their own fault for fucking screwing that up. You could have made every single character into a movie tomorrow. Instead, you decided to go with Zack Snyder and let him run things in the ground, and then now you're deciding to let James Gunn do his thing.
MCU did a lot of tremendous damage there. I mean, with Moon Knight, you could have done something amazing. I mean, they had all of the resources, but instead they went with all of these female gender bent characters. Instead of doing something proper, you did Hawkeye, which wasn't even Hawkeye. It was about female Hawkeye, and rinse and repeat for everything else. Like Echo, why the hell would anyone do Echo? completely ridiculous. There, Marvel actually had the opportunity to lead the charge, and they could have done all of these smaller stories, let everyone know this can be successful too. Then actually you might have gotten a Martian Manhunter project of some kind. But instead, they went with all this garbage that no one wanted. It flopped, and they destroyed the whole thing.
Yeah, because at one point, and we couldn't even talk about it at that time, but we can now because it's so far in the past, and it's been, I think, handed over to two different people since then. Robert Shea was going to be working on a Plastic Man movie.
Yeah, he was.
And they were, like I said, there was a point where you could throw a stick and hit a fucking superhero movie. They were going to do everything comic book under the sun in Hollywood. They were buying up every property they could. If it was already in house, they were like, let's get it in development. Like they were even like, they were even in talks with Jim Carrey for years to do that. And some other people that like we were. And the reason I brought that up is just because he's such an obscure character, right? Like you can imagine like Martian Manhunter would have definitely been at the higher end of their list. But because of the shit that happened at Marvel and the Zack Snyder business and basically this entire thing toppling down on itself, these movies have no incentive anymore, and they're not going to take a chance on them. I mean, even Hellboy, they tried to minimize everything, and it still didn't manage to do anything. So that was another, I mean, that's just an example.
And the only reason they did that was a rights retainer.
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, that's just another example of how the industry is not going to continue to do this. It's just not going to continue. It's just not going to continue. Anyway, Clips Warlord says about 20 minutes behind the Supergirl I'm most familiar with was from the 90s and was most related to Superman, was a shapeshifter. I'm not so familiar with that one. So I can't speak to that. And Supergirl is not one that I think the only Supergirl comic I own is the adaptation of the 84 film. I'll be honest with you. And I mean, sure, she shows up in like some other like comics that I have, but like Kingdom Come and stuff like that. But like, other than that, I have no Supergirl comics whatsoever. Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle says, overall, I never got that much into TNG movies. I still love TOS ones though. And I can understand
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. First Contact really was the only one that truly stood out and had any kind of...
And even that one has issues with it, if you want to compare it to certain things in Star Trek.
Yeah.
But Miller says, Andre, Tom, get R&B back on sometime. Miss him here. Me too, but he's always so busy. It's difficult. And I think now that he works with more with
Campia again, there's some restrictions. Yeah.
It's not even so much restrictions, it's just he's just busy all the time, it seems like.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've been able to get him pop periodically as long as it's the time.
Yes, you've had him periodically, yeah.
Yeah, like we've got him to come on like late night on the video show like a year or so back, and then some other things here and there. It's just a matter of timing, I think, more so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to him. I haven't talked to him as much, but I've talked to him here and there, without throughout the last half year or so. But yeah, I'm sure if we asked him to, if the
for the right occasion, I'm sure we can get him back. Yeah,
absolutely. No, there's no animosity or anything like that. Detail Devil says AMPUS, American Motion Picture Arts Science Museum in LA.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep. Dada Miwa says the government is trying to run itself on AI. Well, you know what? It could do much worse.
It already is.
Honestly, you know what? This is one of those things where we could probably be worse off. AI might actually fix the problem.
This depends entirely. This depends
on who controls the AI.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem with most AI, other than Grok, is that they were made at the time when you had DEI initiatives. So you had complete and total psychos. I mean, absolute psychos who are all about DEI, who are programming the ethics and morals and personality of the AI, which is a huge freaking problem. Which is why, for instance, ChatGPT, I mean, not only can you not trust it not to give you accurate information because it makes shit up, you can't trust its evaluations in anything because it's coded with DEI as the core values. And that's true for most of them. So yeah, the government actually is partially. I hope it has something better, but I'm not sure. I'm very worried about that. And then Battle Brewer has been a member for 58 months. Dark King sent Tom a DM. Bad idea. He had to share. I'm sure Tom can get back to him about that. And Joe Pat 80. Well, maybe that's coming on here. The Fast and the Furries. Yeah.
It'd be worse if
well,
it was the fat furries, but yeah.
yeah. Well,
Honestly, I could watch a bear driving a car.
yeah. And sometimes it's weird watching an insight into like the mind of madmen. And Joe Pat says, "Rest in peace, Davy Chase, voice of Lilo and the Ring Girl." Oh, yeah. I also saw that Anne Sheedan passed. Come to think of it,
Yeah.
the woman in the Elf household.
I didn't hear about this, so she must not have been that old. Probably 20s or 30s, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
What is it with voice actresses dying young? It's weird.
Well, yeah. Well, we
DCB
have some
Titan,
theories.
Yeah, no government is run on artificial stupidity. It's not so artificial.
Yeah. No, nothing virtual about that.
No. Yeah.
But also, never confuse stupidity with malice.
That's
and that
true.
goes both ways.
And with that, I believe we are caught up. So
all right, excellent.
We can wrap this baby up with a bow and send everybody on their way with some wet koalas. What do you say?
Yeah, I think so. So everyone, thanks for joining today. Please smash that like on the way out the door. Follow every panelist we had on here today, and let's make those koalas nice and salty.
Oh, we got one more super chat. Dada Miwo says, "I really don't expect life to get much better. I hope, but well, look, the plus side with this AI business is that, like we just said before, it's going to take so much power to run a lot of it. It is going to be at least probably until my kid's well into his, midlife before AI takes over everything, but it's still something to be concerned about. But again, we don't see, like Andre said, we don't see a lot of what they're using it for. You'd be surprised what they're using it for.
Yeah, we're just the test bunnies, and we're providing our data. That's what we're for.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, is, you know what? Don't worry about things that you can't control. Instead, and this is sage advice to everyone, worry about the things that you can control in your immediate surroundings. So do everything that you can to make life as good as possible for yourself and for those around you and those who rely on you. And really, that's all you can do. Stick with that. And as for hoping that life will get better, hope is not the strategy. You have to make it better.
Right.
And you can't do anything about big government. You can just work on yourself and your surroundings.
There you go. So with that, it's time for
koalas.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala, koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koala, koala.